On Tuesday, December 16th. I appreciate everyone joining us for a special legislative meeting and work session. Let us see if we have quorum on the council. I see Councilmember Ramos is on. Councilmember Fode is on. Okay. And we have 5. Is David on? No. Okay. All right. We know Councilmember Smith will not be present. And so we are at quorum. Is there an agenda before us? Okay. Are there any amendments to the agenda? Any conflicts of interest to the for agenda items? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Approve.
So moved.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and second by Councilmember Worsnop. Any discussion on the motion? Okay, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Colon.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 5-0. We're going to pause for a second because we don't have audio in the room, and then we'll get started.
I believe we're good now, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Can someone who's online say something just to test our audio in the room?
Testing, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I'm getting you clear.
And I'm getting you clear as well. So we're good to go. Okay. So this is just again for folks who are joining us. We have a special legislative meeting, and then we will adjourn that and immediately go to a work session meeting. The agenda that you see on the screen right now was part of the special legislative meeting, and so we have approval of the agenda. Are there any public comments? We will also have a public comment session for the work session as well. Any public comments as part of the legislative meeting? If you're online, you can raise your hand. If you're in the room, you can jump to the front. Okay. Seeing up, we have a hand raised. Sarah, please come off mute and state your public comment.
Hi. Are you able to hear me okay?
Yes, we hear you.
Wonderful. I wanted to comment to make sure that this is on our town public record. Last Wednesday, in the morning, we know that ICE agents used our Riverside Neighborhood Park parking lot to do a prisoner transfer, a location that is a neighborhood park where children go. Our neighbors use this park a lot. They did a prisoner transfer of 7 to 8 men where they shackled them and they placed them onto a transport van. And I am utterly outraged that any law enforcement agency would use a public park to do this kind of enforcement action activity. And I recognize that this is county property, but it is our neighborhood park. And it is outrageous. Don't worry, I'm not driving. It is outrageous that they used our park in this manner. It caused a lot of fear amongst our neighbors. And many people were afraid to take their kids to school or to, if they had already dropped them off, to pick them up. And I know the school felt the repercussions of this happening a few short blocks away. I am really proud that we had neighbors who came out and documented what happened. And we had neighbors who came out during school pickup with signs of solidarity, and to keep a lookout to try and create a safer pickup for families and parents. I want to encourage the council to follow that example and continue to try and find ways to create a safer community for all of our neighbors, and find ways to just anything to make us safer, to prevent this kind of action. I'm utterly outraged that this happened. We've spoken in the past a little bit about, how can we prepare for not if, but when ICE comes to our neighborhood. And we are now at when. It is now. They have used our neighborhood for these actions, and they have targeted our neighbors. And so I thank you for the time tonight. I just wanted to make sure that that was known to the community. And I know that there are those who probably already are aware that this happened. But just wanted to make sure our neighbors are aware that this happened. So thank you for the time. And I look forward to the rest of the session.
Thank you for your public comment. Appreciate it. Any other public comments? Okay. And again, we'll have an opportunity for additional public comments as part of the work session. Our next agenda item is a presentation from our local law enforcement and police chief is here. And so as a council, what I'll ask is that we're going to move into the audience so that the presentation come up front, which I think will be helpful in terms of viewing the presentation. So give us 1 second online and then we'll start.
Good evening. First off, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, thank you for having us and letting us do this evening. We're here tonight to recognize Officer Wallace and Officer Ortiz, who was online for a life-saving award. On August the 14th, they responded to a contact shooting in the 5600 block of 54th Avenue. Without hesitation, they went inside the building, secured the apartment, found an individual that was critically wounded, provided medical aid for approximately 5 minutes before professional EMS arrived on scene, to include applying a tourniquet, which inevitably saved this young man's life. And tonight, we just want to recognize Officer Ortiz and Officer Wallace for the great job that they did with the plaque, and as well as they'll be given a ribbon that we wore on their dress uniform that everybody will recognize as a life-saving award. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Officer Ortiz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Officer.
That's fantastic. We do appreciate your service and the idea of how do you respond in crisis and in a way that saves a life should always be recognized. So we're as a community greatly appreciate it. I know speaking on behalf of the entire community with that. Okay. We'll try to live up to that, but that's going to be hard billing. Next up on our agenda, I believe we have some of our legislative items. And if we can pull the agenda up just to make sure that we have the first one. Okay. All right. So as we can all see, 8 legislative items. The good news is we've talked about a lot of these extensively, and the first 6 are extending programs that we have long-standing programs within the community, and we have a provision that every 2 years we sort of review it. And so the Farmers Market Dollar Program, Emergency Repair Grant Program, the Flood Prevention and Damage Mitigation Program, the Neighborhood Safety Improvement Program, Commercial Appearance Grant, the Town Riverdale Park Community Spirit Grant Program, and the Business Growth Grant program are all going to be extended today. And so we will go through this expeditiously so that we have time for other affairs that we have. So we'll vote on these one by one, but I will ask if there are motions. So for the first program, is there a motion on the table?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Foe.
I'd like to motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-18, extending the Farmers Market Dollars Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and seconded by Councilmember Lingua. Any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
I believe a significant proportion of these programs evolved from a famous April 2020 meeting when the world was thrown into chaos. And thankfully, our town staff responded in an incredibly productive way. To see them still in existence, to see us still dialoguing is a tip of the cap to the creativity of staff and council to participate in providing these things for our residents. I look at this list with pride in what it is that we can accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council? Okay. We'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos.
Aye.
Councilmember Colon.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. Next, is there a motion for the second item?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember Lingua.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-19 regarding the Emergency Repair Grant Program.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Lingua and seconded by Councilmember Foe. Is there any discussion on this motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Councilmember.
Again, as my colleague from the Second Ward said, this was one of the programs that came out of what happened in 2020. Glad to see that it's, we're able to enact this program again, and more so that we have resources that we can turn to enact this long established resources over time that have been the work of previous councils, and that I hope we're going to be able to continue in the future.
Thank you. Any other comments from council? Okay, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe.
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua.
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop.
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos.
Aye.
Councilmember Colon.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. We have our third motion on the
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Worsnop.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-20, extending the Flood Prevention and Damage Mitigation Grant Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Worsnop and seconded by Councilmember Lingua. Is there any discussion on this motion? Okay. Moving to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne.
Aye.
And I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. All right. Fourth motion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Foe.
I would like to motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-21, extending the Neighborhood Safety Improvement Grant Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and seconded by Councilmember Cologne. Any discussion on the motion? Okay. Hearing none, seeing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. All right. Number 5. Is there any motions?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Councilmember.
I would like to make a motion that we adopt 2025-R-22, the Business Commercial Appearance Grant Program.
Is there a second?
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Lingua and seconded by Councilmember Foe. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Councilmember.
I'm glad to see this here, and I'm really strongly encouraging businesses, if they're thinking about doing something like this, to please do so. Please reach out to staff to see what's possible for your benefit, for the community's benefit, and for us to be able to be attractive, even more attractive to other businesses to think about locating in this area.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council? Okay. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. On to motion number 6. Do I see a motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-22, extending the Commercial Appearance Grant Program.
We just voted on that, Councilmember.
Take it back. I'd like to make a motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-23, extending the TRP Community Spirit Grant Program.
Do I hear a second?
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Worsnop and seconded by Councilmember Foe. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
being one of Director Barnes' favorite grant programs, I strongly support this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. When I just joined council, this was something that I was trying to champion and definitely supportive of it. The idea of bringing community together and having some funds as a town to be able to help facilitate that, I think is a great program we're going to keep in mind and keep in forward for at least another 2 years. Okay. Any other comments from council?
I support the idea.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay. We'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. All right. Number 7. Is there a motion do I hear?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
I would like to motion to adopt Resolution 2025-R-24, extending the Business Growth Grant Program.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and seconded by Councilmember Lingua. Any discussion on the motion? Here,
Mr. Mayor, if I may,
Councilmember.
to those businesses out there and residents who are seeing that what we're making a commitment towards, I think this is putting something a little behind when you see on that sign out there, or you see on any number of things that we have saying, come grow with us. And I hope that this is a very dynamic program, and I hope this is a program that many businesses in town, whatever size, do apply for.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council? Okay, hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. Okay. And we are at our last legislative item, which is number 8 right now. Do I hear a motion?
Mayor,
Councilmember
I'd
Worsnop.
like to make a motion to authorize the waiver of residential permit fees, including POD, dumpster, and building permits through December 31st, 2026.
Seconded.
Motion by Councilmember Worsnop and seconded by Councilmember Foe. Any discussion on the motion?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
I thank staff for putting this together. I think it's important for us as a town to continue supporting, helping our residents with various financial issues and burdens that are ongoing right now. These will continue, so whatever the town can do to alleviate that pressure is a good idea, in my view. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any comments from council? You're leaning forward and I'm trying to anticipate, so let me know. You're right. We'll go to roll call vote. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. All right. Thank you all. Appreciate that. I know for folks who are new, it seemed like we were rapid firing through that, but we've talked about all these programs for multiple meetings and weeks, and the idea of extending grant programs for another 2 years. I'm glad that we're able to do that. Okay, next on the agenda, we have new business. Any items of new business for the legislative session?
Not so much an item anew, but well, I'll bring it up during work session. Never mind.
Thank you. Okay, hearing none, we'll go to any items of unfinished business, which we have none. Is there a motion to adjourn the special legislative meeting?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Councilmember Foe and second by Councilmember Cologne. We'll go directly to a roll call vote since it's not debated. Councilmember Foe,
Aye.
Councilmember Lingua,
Aye.
Councilmember Worsnop,
Aye.
Councilmember Ramos,
Aye.
Councilmember Cologne,
Aye.
and I also vote aye. The motion passes 6-0. We are adjourned for our legislative meeting. Moving directly into our work session, which will start at 7:24 p.m. I will call the meeting to order, and we will first go and see if this. First, this is a less formal meeting. We got the business done first, and this is an opportunity for obviously to talk a little bit more. We'll still keep decorum and Robert's rules, but not as strictly held as a legislative meeting. But the first thing we always do is approval of the agenda. Are there any amendments to the agenda or any stated conflicts of interest for agenda items? Whoever's, Ryan, if that's you, could you scroll down a little bit just to see yeah. Okay, this is the agenda that we have before us. There's a budget presentation, and then we have a presentation from the Purple Line Connectivity Project. You want to take a break real quick?
No.
Okay. We're good with the agenda?
Looking at the agenda, do we have anybody here tonight for the TRP Board of Code Appeals appointments? Or are they online? Okay, I just wanted to move them up if they were participating, but thank you.
Okay. And we have someone for the first fence permit in person? Oh, okay. Great. Okay, and they're first up. All right, we'll go to a roll call vote for the agenda. I think, do we need to vote? We don't need to vote? Great. You all, eye contact with most folks saying they agree with it? Okay. All right, first up, we have our budget presentation for FY27, the budget assumptions in the current capital improvement project pipeline. Deputy Director Jones, was that you?
Yeah, that is me. Thank you.
Okay.
So yes, good evening, Mayor and Council, members of the public. Tonight's presentation is on the fiscal year 2027 budget assumptions. Tonight's presentation outlines the core assumptions used to develop the fiscal year 2027 operating and capital improvement budget. Um, these are not final decisions. We're still in the beginning phases of the budget process, but they do lay out the planning foundation we intend to use to build the budget. So next slide, please. Why budget assumptions matter. So budget assumptions matter because they set expectations early. They help us to build a foundation to avoid overestimating revenues or underestimating costs. By being conservative up front, we reduce the risk of mid-year corrections, and this allows us to stay aligned with maintaining the town's core services. Next, we have the fiscal year 2027 revenue assumptions. So on the revenue side, we are continuing to take a cautious approach as we've traditionally done. Property tax growth is expected to remain steady but modest. Income tax projections continue to be based on the county and state economic indicators. Grant funding is only going to be included when we have reasonable confidence of actually obtaining those grants. And lastly, there are no assumed tax rates or fee increases for fiscal year 2027. Again, unless the council chooses to revisit that at a later date. Next, we have revenue sensitivity and risk factors. So first we have the commercial assessable base. So while commercial properties make up a smaller share of our tax base, they do generate a significant portion of revenue. So these properties are also more likely to appeal assessments. And in recent reassessments, we've actually seen over 30 million in appealed value, which introduces some revenue variability that we do plan to plan around. Additionally, under revenue sensitivity and risk factors, we have major development projects that continue to face delays. So consequently, we're not counting on new revenue from them in fiscal year 2027, or even several years out. Planning is to be based primarily on what we already have, so existing parcels. So we are mindful that a relatively small number of non-residential properties account for a large share of revenue. And again, this increases some exposure. These risks are going to be actively monitored as we continue to work through the budget process. Next is personnel assumptions. So personnel costs reflect the current labor market. At this point, we are assuming a cost of living adjustment in the 3% range, along with merit increases that follow the town's already established pay structure. Health care costs are projected to rise at about 10%, which is consistent with what we've seen in recent. We're also funding several positions for a full year in fiscal year 2027 that were just partially funded in fiscal year 2026. Next, why compensation adjustments matter. So competitive compensation, it's not just about pay, it's also about stability. So in the event that we were to fall behind the market, we could see an increase in higher turnover, overtime costs, as well as some additional recruitment challenges. So these adjustments help to retain staff as well as maintain consistent service levels. Next, operating expenditure assumptions. So operating costs reflect some inflationary pressure that we've seen across our contract services, utilities, and supplies. So at this point, we are applying a general inflation assumption within a 3 to 4% range. Several fiscal year 2026 line items have remained flat from fiscal year 25 to 26. So in fiscal year 27, we do include some catch up there, particularly in those contractual services, utilities, and supplies. And then at the same time, as departments continue to work throughout the year, we continue to focus on efficiency as well as cost control. So this next slide is pretty much just a visual representation of what we discussed in the previous slides regarding inflation. We are factoring in the 3 to 4% range. Very important to note, though, that the capital and construction costs tend to rise faster than everyday operating costs. So we do account for that difference when developing our inflation scenarios. Again, we don't want to be caught off guard with any sudden price increases in the next budget. Capital improvement assumptions. So capital investments for fiscal year 2027 focus on maintaining infrastructure, improving safety, and then supporting programs like the Walk Bike Drive. The cost estimates do reflect current market conditions. Project timing and scope may be adjusted as needed to manage that volatility, especially since the construction costs often rise faster than the operating costs, particularly in inflationary periods. So next, debt service assumptions. So a key change in fiscal year 2027 that we'd like to highlight is the payoff of the PNC Bank loan in May 2026. This will reduce the annual debt service from about 452,000 to 154,000. Additionally, we're not assuming any new debt, so this reduction does help improve our long-term financial flexibility while maintaining our conservative debt practices. So yes, this slide, we highlight the external forces shaping fiscal year 2027. So we do continue to face a tight labor market, particularly in the public safety, the police roles, regulatory and compliance requirements also add cost and administrative workload. We have a broader economic uncertainty, which reinforces the need to continue to be conservative with our forecasting and remain flexible throughout the year. Fiscal year 2027 risks and uncertainties, factors that may affect the budget outcomes. So there are several variables that could actually affect the budget. Personnel and overtime costs, as I mentioned earlier, those can fluctuate based on any potential vacancies or turnover. Healthcare costs, they do vary, but we have seen a 10% increase. And then capital projects, they remain sensitive to construction pricing, which we're also monitoring very closely. When building the budget, these are the type of risks that are built into planning, and they are monitored throughout the fiscal year. Next, we have key fiscal year 2027 cost drivers. So the biggest cost driver in fiscal year 2027 is going to be personnel. This is going to be driven by the labor market, benefit costs, cost of living adjustments. Additionally, there's health share, which continues to rise. And then last is the capital equipment costs, which do reflect ongoing increases in materials and construction pricing. So last here, I will cover the key takeaways from the budget assumptions. Overall, these assumptions, they reflect a conservative, risk-aware plan. They do prioritize stability. They protect the core services that are already provided and allow flexibility as conditions continue to change. Personnel and benefit costs do remain primary pressure points, while capital planning does incorporate some inflation and some timing risk. So yes, these assumptions, we are in the very early stages of budget development. So these assumptions do position the town to manage the current challenges while also planning responsibly for the future. And yes, that concludes the fiscal year 2027 presentation on budget assumptions. I'm happy to answer any questions or walk through any of the assumptions in more detail.
Thank you, Deputy Director. Any questions from council?
Go ahead. Mr. Mayor.
Councilman.
Thank you, Deputy Director Jones. Appreciate your work. Question about where you see potential impacts from kind of the state and federal budget contractions on the town budget.
So at this point, we're just at the assumptions point, just um, taking a look at things that may potentially. So we haven't dug deep into any of these. These are just the, beginning processes that we're looking at as we put together the budget. So we're not quite there yet. Um, but these are some of the things that we do look to investigate in more depth.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'd appreciate kind of having maybe a conversation about that in future, since at least to me, it seems like an assumption that both of those
Mr. Mayor.
sources of funding will be going down. Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I can address the council member's question perhaps more directly.
Sure.
So in terms of revenue from the state, there's a few revenue sources. And Mr. Jones, perhaps you could help me out with this. But we have our share of state income tax, which is the largest state revenue that we receive. It's a pass-through. And 10 years ago, that was in the $400,000 range. It's now in the $900,000 range as income levels in the community have risen. And so unemployment is directly related to that. So if unemployment goes up, we have to consider that there'd be a contraction in that funding source, as well as we receive highway user funds. And provided that the state continues to provide highway user funds, and those dollars are capital dollars that we use towards our road projects. And I think that's like 320 or so thousand a year that we receive in highway user funds. So as long as people are driving gas-powered vehicles, then that's where that money comes from, is the state gas tax. And then if there's a contraction because there's less cars on the road, or people are car sharing or doing those responsible things to help the environment, that actually reduces the amount of gas tax that's paid. And so that's another area. And then I think the third area that's a state revenue source is the grant, the state grant for police aid. And we receive about $168,000 a year. And that helps with the operation of the police department. On the federal side, we don't have any reliance on operating dollars for the operation of things, but we do go after federal grants. And so as we work on the CIP, we're going to have to really examine whether or not we'll have opportunities for those. And then we also ask for state grants, as the mayor did at the legislative dinner just 2 weeks ago, asking for state funding for some of the town's priorities that the council identified. So on the CIP thing, our side, we have some exposure, and on the operating side, it's those three areas. It's the share of state income tax, which is a pass-through, as well as the gas tax and the state police aid.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Town Manager. Any comments from Council to Deputy Director or Deputy Director Jones? I have one question, Director Jones, is around you. I appreciate you pulling together the risks and assumptions, and in some ways these are the things that we should be most worried about. Outside of the reduction in debt service, is there anything that you're positive or optimistic about looking in the budget for 2027?
I would say outside of the debt reduction, we're still kind of going through where we're at in the current fiscal year, and at this stage of the budget, hoping to see if there is anything that might be favorable for us as we move for fiscal year 2027. But yeah, the debt service assumption with us finally paying off that loan, that's our biggest one that we've got so far.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any other members from council questions on this? Oh,
I had the same question as Councilmember Dworsnip. So
great minds are thinking similarly. Okay, thank you so much, Deputy Director. Next, we have the current capital improvement project pipeline. I believe we have Director Lewis on.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Ryan, can you load the PowerPoint presentation? Thank you. It is my pleasure to present the fiscal year 2026 CIP pipeline projects. We have a robust capital project or program this year, especially with our focus on safety initiatives throughout the town. Next slide, please. We have 37 capital projects in the pipeline this fiscal year, up from 35 in fiscal year 25. 68% of them are infrastructure projects, while 32 or 12 are acquisition and service projects. And on the latter, for example, is engineering services. Our goals are to construct, you can stay on this slide for a moment, I'll prompt you. Our goals to construct capital projects are both visible and impactful. That is, they make a measurable difference in the quality and functionality of our infrastructure. And we continue to focus on projects that improve walking, biking, and driving throughout our community. The CIP is divided into project categories. They are, as listed here, walk, bike, drive safety projects. I put this category at the top of the list that will follow this slide to reflect its importance, and because the safety projects for this presentation are all summarized in this category. The others are community projects, building renovations, public safety and streetlight acquisitions, and road and sidewalk construction. The last category just includes Bill's Circle Stormwater and the off-site stormwater mitigation project, as all of the others have been moved under the walk, bike, drive category. Next slide, please. Last year, the town manager pinch hitting for me introduced the concept of a project pipeline, which when imagined, usually conjures up an image of a straight, uninterrupted flow. Reality is actually different. Next slide, please. The CIP project pipeline is anything but straight or uninterrupted, but instead it is complicated with valves or requirements we don't control and pressure gauges that determine the flow. And sometimes they are turned off, as the manager shared last year, moving the town on a different path or direction, which slows down the pipeline, sometimes significantly, but we continue to press forward. Next slide, please. The pipeline of construction projects flow through 3 phases to completion. Planning and scoping, we have 4 projects in this category, or 16% of the total. Project design, there are 10 in this category, or 40% of the total. And then bidding and construction with 11 projects representing 44% in this category. We've completed 9 projects over the last 12 to 15 months, including the council chambers AV upgrade, which is certainly working perfectly this evening, the 54th Place Pocket Park, Queensberry sidewalk and fencing, trolley trail lighting, the last leg of it in the town center, and then south of Queensberry, Kennedy Street Pollinator Garden, the community garden, Boys and Girls Club improvements, the town seal, and the 48th Avenue sidewalk project between Nicholson and Longfellow. It was actually the last block or phase 2 to a previous project. So from Riverdale Road to Longfellow, we have a sidewalk on the west side of 48th Avenue. Next slide, please. This is moving into the CIP infrastructure projects in their respective categories. identifying the stage of the project that we're in and the target completion date. Again, the 37 projects fall into 6 categories. For this presentation, walk, bike, drive safety projects are all grouped under the walk, bike, drive safety projects category. We will actually follow this lead more formally in next year's presentation. That is, we'll try to group all of the safety projects under walk, bike, drive. Safe Streets for All demonstration projects are moving into the project design stage, and we anticipate completing the proposed list of projects at the end of 2026. Staff will present a list of projects to the mayor and council in the January work session for your endorsement and support. Funds generated from recent property tax increases are reallocated from this line item to CIP projects needing additional funding. What's left, as shown in this table, will fund the raised intersections and crosswalks along Riverdale Road, as well as road markings and stop signs at Riverdale Road and Lafayette Avenue. This project is in the design phase. And again, this is the only project in the walk, bike, drive category, which is number 2 in this table. The Town Center project and Natoli Lafayette are both in the design phase. They're at 20% at this point, with completion expected in the winter of 2027 and summer of 2027, respectively. Curb ramps are completed throughout town. If you've been moving around town the last several weeks, you might have noticed quite a few of them. And the remaining road projects are expected to be completed by the end of this year, weather permitting. The Purple Line Neighborhood Connectivity Project is in the planning stage, and we anticipate moving that forward in the next several months. Are there any questions on this slide? If not, next slide, please. Community projects are in project design or construction. All of them have moved out of planning and scoping. We hope to move forward with Plummer Park Phase 2 landscaping in the spring. Unfortunately, the county permit is still pending. The Municipal Center project is at the final inspection stage, finally, which we hope is completed by the end of the month. The Municipal Center rain harvesting project consists of a collection of rain barrels at the rear of Town Hall and PD to collect rainwater from downspouts. The engineers have completed their work and we're ready to proceed with the installation. We expect to have about 10 to 12 rain barrels in the back of Town Hall and PD. The Queensbury parking lot and DPW renovations are in the design phase. You know, we've been working on the Queensbury parking lot for over a year. We do believe we are very close to getting the county permit, which will allow that project to move forward. We do expect the project to be completed once we have the permit, provided it's provided within the next month or so, by summer 2026. ADA upgrades at the Boys and Girls Club and Town Hall are in the planning and scoping phase, with improvements expected to be completed in the summer and winter of 2026, respectively. Next slide, please. I should have mentioned this earlier, that TBD denotes that additional funding is needed and a target end date cannot be determined until those funds are secured for construction in the case of Bill's Circle stormwater and engineering and construction in the case of the off-site mitigation project. We have identified new locations for neighborhood security cameras and hope to move to design in the next month or two. Street lights on Lafayette south of Riverdale Road are being installed at this point and is expected to be completed by the end of this year, also weather permitting. Next slide, please. We are highlighting 6 projects this evening: the Town Center redesign in Natoli Lafayette. I will not spend a lot of time on the projects. We've had a lot of conversations and meetings about those projects recently, but I wanted to include them because they are our high priority projects. Next slide, please. Before you do that, then I'm sorry, road improvement projects. I'll spend a little more time on those, talk about Mount Rose. And then I think for the first time with council, the off-site stormwater mitigation project, municipal center stormwater harvesting, the rain gardens, and flood mitigation rain gardens. Next slide, please. The town, I'll just focus on the town center redesign project goals. They are to improve pedestrian and cycling safety, minimize traffic conflict, channelize and separate trolley trail movements from Maryland Avenue, minimize parking loss. As you know, there will be a loss of parking in the town center, but we believe we can recoup them immediately outside of the town center. Facilitate farmers market and public events, allow business deliveries, and improve aesthetics, open space, and make the area even more inviting to members of the community and those outside. The council did select a preferred concept, which we'll speak to a little later on, or should be shown in this slide. Could you go to the next slide? Yes, thank you. Natoli Lafayette roadway plan, the council also selected a preferred option here. The goals on this project are to improve pedestrian and cycling safety, calm traffic, and discourage cut-through traffic. Most important, minimize traffic conflicts on Queensberry. I think this design option goes a long way to do that. Minimize work on the CSX owned land. We did have a meeting recently with CSX staff, and they seem interested in selling to the town the parking lot. And you'll hear more about that as that project moves forward. Provide green buffers near the dwelling units on Natoli. Improve aesthetics and open space, minimize impact on Veterans Monument, improve traffic control at the intersection, and close south access point to CSX from Lafayette. Next slide, please. Mount Rose Park. Two design options were presented to the council early this year. The council preferred this design option that's displayed on this slide for its winding path, which is expected to slow down bikes and other micro-mobility vehicles through traffic through the park. In addition to the pathway, the project elements includes a mountable curb, a mile marker, fence, pavers or stamped concrete, lighting, seating, signage, green space, and an interpretive overlay. We have to address encroachment issues from both adjacent properties, comply with applicable county and planning department review requirements, and prepare for construction. The project is projected to be completed by 2026. Next slide, please. Again, we had a very robust road improvement program this year with the number of curb ramps, crosswalks, and walk, bike, drive safety improvements beyond those that I spoke about on Riverdale Road. The projects that have been completed include the 54th Avenue speed humps and sidewalk repair. We actually have 4 speed humps recently installed on 54th Avenue south of Riverdale Road. The last one is south of Jefferson Street. The 51st Avenue sidewalk is one of my favorites. Initially, we thought we'd had to put most of the sidewalk, of all of it, in the street. We were able to put most of it behind the curve, and only a short section of it in the street north of the Boys and Girls Club. Is hardly noticeable, I don't believe, although some might feel that, see a difference in the width of the road. But it doesn't show that way when you're on the sidewalk. 51st and Tuckerman intersection resurfacing, Bill Circle sidewalk or Bill Circle West sidewalk. We do have an issue there. The driveway to the bank actually divides the sidewalk. We're going to try to get a workaround by working with Wells Fargo Bank to give us access to run a pathway through their property to have a complete sidewalk between Queensberry and 410. And then intersection improvements at Bill Circle East and West, Madison and Cleveland, and Woodbury at the Trolley Trail. And curb ramps, multiple locations throughout town have been completed. The remaining projects that are scheduled for completion this year, weather permitting, are all of the road markings, crosswalks, sight distance triangles, and painted curbs. 48th Avenue, south of MD 410 for road resurfacing, speed humps on Rhode Island Avenue and Taylor Road. 1 is planned for Rhode Island, south of Riverdale Road, and 4 on Taylor Road, south of Queensberry. The Oglethorpe pothole repair, this was something that was discovered after we put our initial list together, and the 54th Avenue sinkhole repair project. And that is north of Riverdale Road, and then raised crosswalks at Tanglewood and Riverdale Pike crossing, Riverdale Road crossing. Next slide, please. And there's just some pictures of completed projects. We have the speed humps on 54th Avenue, the sidewalk on 51st, and curb ramps in different locations throughout town. Next slide, please. I believe the council is hearing about the off-site stormwater mitigation project at Madison and 47th for the first time with details. Obviously, it was added to this year's CIP. This project meets the stormwater requirements for the 54th Place Park at Madison and 47th. We are required to treat 735 cubic feet of stormwater. The engineers and I did a walkthrough or site visit during heavy rain and noted that stormwater from upstream properties would flow and overwhelm the rain garden that was being considered for this property. We thought we could treat the 734 cubic feet of stormwater in a rain garden. In order to do that, however, we have to do extensive curbing to direct the stormwater flowing past this site away from the rain garden, because it would be quickly inundated and would not function properly with a larger amount of stormwater flowing through the facility. The engineers have come up with a second design option to address this that includes a bioretention facility and a forebay. The forebay would capture settlement before the water flows into the bioretention facility and ultimately into the nearby storm drain at Madison and 47th with overflow. This option would treat up to 4,122 cubic feet of stormwater and generate a 3,377 cubic feet of credit or bank that the town can use at another project. So if we have to do any type of stormwater improvements at either the town center, Natoli Lafayette, or any other project, we could actually use this credit. And so we wouldn't have to do that work at those locations. It would be satisfied at Madison and 47. Are there any questions on this project? Okay, next slide, please.
No, we have a question.
Actually, Director Lewis, I do have a question
Okay.
regarding this. I know you have special challenges there because the properties that sit in that block, that is 47th Avenue, that is Nicholson, that 4700 block of Nicholson, down to 48th, coming down towards Longfellow, and then back around, all sit pretty much at or lower than the level of the street, if I'm not mistaken. It's an area that really, for those properties, has a challenge for like water having an outlet on where to go to. Now I realize that we've had improvements down on Longfellow with the storm drains.
Right.
And we're looking to do something here to help that section of 47th Avenue, Madison, and how it affects over there by that corner of Longfellow at 47th. I know the other issue that we have is the pitch of the drainage from the what then returns to becoming Lafayette Avenue as you cross Longfellow Street and go up the hill to the Leroy Petrie Honor Village at Chris Kyle Court. I've noticed when we have heavy rain events that a lot of the water that comes down off of there is moving at such a pace that it's shooting past the storm drain that they installed there and then runs down into that property that sits on Lafayette between Chris Kyle Court and Longfellow Street. I know that's a challenge there as well. Is there any way that also in this work, are you also looking at the storm drain that is there at that corner of Madison and I guess that's still 47th Avenue?
Yes, if we go with the bioretention option, the water any overflow would go to that inlet.
Okay.
However, again, the reason we're at this location is because we could satisfy the requirements of the 54th Place Park. We'll need to look at more closely the flooding situation south of this
Okay.
area, and that's the area that you're referring to. The stormwater that I referred to that's flowing from private properties is north of Madison and 47th.
Yeah.
And so it will be capturing that stormwater within this location or at this location in the bioretention option if we choose to go that way. Again, otherwise we're adding curbing, which will direct the stormwater from upstream properties around this site and into that inlet at 47th and Madison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
I
Thank you.
say at this stage, we don't have costs yet. It could be closer than we think because of the curbing that we'd have to do with the rain garden. But it would be my preference to do the larger project if we can fund it, so that we could have that bank for future projects. And I think that would better address stormwater in this area north of Madison.
I hope so. Thank you.
Any other questions on this project?
We have a question from the audience. Laura, Ms. Katz, you want to come up and ask your question briefly?
Thank you. The slide shows a picture of the project area, is that correct?
Yes, at Madison and 47th.
So I see a mature tree in that picture, and I was curious if you knew at this stage if that tree would be impacted by the construction of the bioretention infrastructure.
I do know that I don't think the taller tree, but I'll get back to you if that's not correct. But the one in front of it and the small grove of trees behind it may have to be removed.
Okay, well, my concern as a resident and member of the Green Team is all of it, but certainly, I mean, the bioretention is going to be helpful. But the mature tree, the tallest tree, I don't know what kind of tree that is. It doesn't look like a Bradford pear to me. I don't know.
No, I don't believe it is. I
hopefully it's
forget
native.
what it is, but yeah, it's not a Bradford pear.
Okay, so I hope it can not be impacted by the construction and eventually die, because we are losing a lot of our mature, taller over canopy trees. So I just wanted to make note, if we can certainly make an effort to preserve those trees that we won't see again in our lifetime if they're cut down.
So we talked about that at the site with the engineers.
Fantastic.
I mean, they share that sort of objective to preserve as many trees as we can, but in this case, we have to deal with the stormwater here, in whichever route we go. The bioretention was certainly required that those two trees that I spoke about, or areas of trees that I spoke about. Again, I'm not certain about the taller one.
Yeah, I certainly understand that. I'm just assuming there'll be some excavation done and that can really
Sure.
threaten that large tree significantly.
Right.
It's not done with consideration for trying to have it be preserved.
Right.
Thank you.
Mhm. Thank you.
Thank you. You can continue, Director.
Thank you. Next slide, please. And this is the last project being highlighted this evening. The rain garden is also one of my favorites. We had a study done by the Neighborhood Design Center that sort of set us on this path. They identified potential locations for these rain gardens and gave us a plant palette of appropriate plantings for rain gardens. The key objectives or priorities are to work outside of the floodplain for obvious reasons, connect or be proximate to existing drains, connect to existing conveyance systems, avoid large trees, and stay within the public right-of-way. The black and white image here is just the anatomy of a rain garden. The project was actually recommended, I'm embarrassed to say, more than a year ago by a resident in town. And I believe one of these sites is at her location. Any questions on this one? I do have a second slide that shows, if you can go to the next slide, please. These are maps of the location. We have 15 locations. The project engineer is preparing a planting plan using the plant palette that Neighborhood Design Service Center gave to us. For each site, one of the town's on-call construction companies will install the rain gardens as weather permits over the next several months. And with that, I'll take questions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director. Questions from council?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember.
quick question. Thank you, Director Lewis. Just for the rain gardens, how were the locations determined, just out of curiosity?
So going back, can we go back a slide where we have the criteria? Again, these are the key criteria that were taken into consideration in terms of locating it. You know, the floodplain boundary has expanded again. We are well beyond FEMA's floodplain boundary. The town, or the county rather, has expanded the boundary of the floodplain at least twice over the last maybe 10 or so years. And so that's a key consideration, that these rain gardens be outside of the floodplain. I didn't think to have a floodplain map here. We can talk about it when this project is in a future briefing on this project. But it's also, we also want to have a existing storm drain proximate to the rain garden for overflow purposes. Depending on the amount of rain over a short amount of time, it could overwhelm the rain garden. So we want to make sure that water has a way to go safely. And then connect to existing conveyance systems and staying within the town's right-of-way and avoiding the need to remove large trees or have them in close proximity to these rain gardens. Those were the criteria essentially followed to locate these rain gardens.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember?
Yeah, I want to ask Director Lewis. She mentioned about 54th Avenue, the speed hump, are correct? What about the sprinkling, the lights, street lights down there? What is happening now?
So actually, the street lights are in. South of Jefferson, we added lights to existing Pepco poles that we thought would be sufficient. I drove through there at night and it was still pretty dark. So we are looking at applying for CDBG, County Community Development Block Grant funds, to do lighting on Jefferson between 54th and Kenilworth, and then 54th from Jefferson to Greenway. So that we would like that to be a future lighting project. That's at least a couple of years away. We have to get the funding, it has to be engineered, and then it has to be constructed. But I think your point is that it's still pretty dark over there. And
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay, you mentioned about Jefferson. Okay, but before Jefferson, the Spring Lane down 54th Avenue, that
Right.
corner.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah. I
So-
mentioned Jefferson because it too does not have adequate lighting. And that's a major pedestrian uh, pathway to Kenilworth. So we're looking at both Jefferson and then 54th south of Jefferson to Greenway for additional streetlights. But it's a concept at this point.
Yeah, you said the last time the money has already been paid.
We
But
did. So Pepco has installed the lights on its poles. They're just it didn't do a lot to expand lighting. You know, throughout the area. Like I said, I drove through and it's still pretty dark with the Pepco lights. And if you'd like, I can do that walkthrough with you. The lights are in, the Pepco lights are in at the playground, at Kennedy Street, and at 54th, south of Jefferson. I confirmed that a couple of weeks ago.
well, I'm
Mhm.
still concerned about it.
Yes, no, I agree. That's why we're going to go after funding to do an additional lighting project over there. But it just will take the time it will take to engineer it, or to get funding to engineer it and to construct it. So
Okay.
meanwhile, yeah, we don't have another alternative to adding light to the area. The
Okay.
light
I
meets
will-
the town standard. I'm sorry.
I will continue to remind you about it.
Okay, I'll look forward to it.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember.
Mhm.
Well, thank you, Director Lewis, for the presentation. I appreciate sort of walking through these projects. I know it's a lot, but it's ambitious goals that we set as a town, and appreciate your stewardship of these projects, and looking forward to talk more about them in the future.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Mayor, if I just make
Sure.
a comment or two. So Director Lewis, thank you for putting this together. We have a small team that Director Lewis leads and putting these projects together. And if you look at the capital improvement program, the history that the town has had, right now we have very ambitious goals, and we have for some time. I think Councilmember Lingua, being the senior member of the council, Councilmember Foe will remember in the 9-10 years ago, there were very few projects that the town was undertaking, very few. And that was for a variety of reasons. But with the council's direction and leadership, we've managed to secure a grant position to help bring funds in. And I think what we're seeing here is a snapshot of serious progress. I know that the council at times has been frustrated with the pace of some projects. Members of the council, Councilmember Lingua, I think the council has been frustrated at times. I want to say that the staff have been frustrated. And all those valves that Director Lewis talked about, 99% of them we have no control over. The things that we can control, we do. And I want to thank Ivy and Newman and Jessica and Paul and Gentry, everyone who's working on these things, trying to control what we can. The county controls the vast majority of those valves. And I know it's nothing new to hear from me that we get frustrated with systems and process. But the most recent was that we had a permit issue, and Ivy, if I get this wrong, please correct me, where things were sitting. And what we learned, because we were meeting with one of our vendors, an engineering firm, and the person we were meeting with is a former county employee. And the next checkoff was in that person's inbox with the county. And the person had been gone from the county for some time. And so it gets frustrating. And I want to thank Director Lewis for continuing to push and the broader staff team as well in trying to create visible and impactful change for our residents. And that's our goal. And so the staff team knows that I get frustrated as well. And at times I have to apologize to them for my frustrations because I'm pushing on things. And so with that, I'll end, but I think it's important to recognize that there's so many things in these projects that we just do not control. And whether it's county permitting or timing on funding applications. But we are seeing visible and impactful change for our community.
Thank you, Town Manager. Well said. Councilmember?
Mr. Mayor, just in response about the frustration that we may have, I'm just going to borrow from the familiar emoji. That's all.
Thank you. We'll leave it at that. Thank you, Director Lewis. We appreciate that. Next up for our presentations, we have the Purple Line Connectivity Project with Ms. Patricia Hayes Parker, Executive Director for the Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization Community Development Corporation, better known as CCAR, CDC. You can come up to the front and unmute the mic, and if you want to introduce yourself for the record. Well, wait. There you go.
I have with me tonight Allie O'Neill, and Allie is principally responsible for community engagement. So does that help? Can you hear? Okay. All right. Sorry about that. All right. So I'd like to, first of all, thank the mayor and council for allowing us to make this presentation tonight. I'd also like to thank Jessica, who really helped us with getting this before you, and I'm pleased that John is here tonight because I think there are a couple of things in here which I saw earlier that might really work well with what we are to present. So what I'm going to do is to ask Allie O'Neill to start for us and to give you an idea of the difference between what MDOT has proposed and what is possible.
Good evening, and thank you, everyone. We can go to the next slide, please. And so to familiarize everyone, I know what we often see of the Purple Line and the currently proposed plans are engineering plans, which are incredibly helpful and necessary, but also can be a little bit difficult to read. And so the team that we are working with put together this plan to really just help to start conveying what's going to happen here. So as you're looking at this plan, number one is going to show you where you have stair access to the platform, and that is at each end. And then you also have an elevator on axis with 57th Avenue, just a little bit to the north. And then overall, what you see is that there are some vegetated edges, so trees and plantings at both Kenilworth Avenue and at East-West Highway that have been proposed, as well as some paving and paths to walk through, really in order to buffer the station somewhat from road traffic and separate things. And just to say out loud, through this project, which Pat will get into some of the funding of, we have had the opportunity to bring on board the same landscape architects who have been working with the Purple Line over the last 10 years, Flora Teeter. And they are actually on this project as experts who really understand both the constraints but the opportunities of the project, and will be part of the team who will help us enhance this site and really make it a site that all of Riverdale Park and Greater Riverdale can be quite excited about. I will also say, just very quickly, sorry, and we'll go into this a little bit more in the next slide, but there is at this station, as there are at every Purple Line station, art. And so art in transit is part of this. And then there is also lighting. And so now we can go to the next slide. Thank you. And what you see here is a rendering that was produced by MTA. And what they wanted to show was both the landscaping in this, as well as some of what you can start to see with the artwork. So the artwork at this station hangs really from the overpass, from the train line above, and hangs down. We're excited to get more of these details. I don't have a lot of those, but I know it's in the works. And as soon as we have more of that information, we will share it. And we can go to the next slide if you don't mind. And again, this is that view kind of looking up as you would head up to the platform from the intersection. And so while certainly some handsome additions, there's also a lot of opportunity to maybe add some personality, really make this station show off all of the diversity and the wonderfulness of Riverdale. Okay, and we can head to the next slide. And so again, conveying what is currently there, which is, I think, a robust base model, if you will. What we're excited to really do and have the opportunity to provide are some upgrades, and some really exciting upgrades that community has started giving us some insights into, and then we continue to welcome feedback as we move through the process. And so we can go to the next slide, please.
If I can interject here, we did a walk ride. I guess it was in the spring. And I remember turning to our senator and saying, are you aware that it's mostly trees that are going to be planted here? I had just been able to talk with one of the Purple Line folks, and they were very enthusiastic about tons of trees in the space. And the senator and I looked at each other and we said, well, what about when the families come? When kids are really interested in not only play, but the artwork, what's the opportunity for programming? None of that was thought of. So now Allie is going to show you what could happen.
So as Pat was saying, the audience who's already here, who's going to be coming here, who do we want to make sure is safe and feels welcome is really core to this project. And so what this starts to do is this is a I would call this a diagram. I think plan might even be a little bit generous. But what this starts to do is look at what's there. So what do we see? And just so everyone's aware, the swoop that comes through is that elevated train line. So as that train is coming up and over, that's what you're looking at. So really, that's a space beneath. And then you also have a little bit of a parklet plaza area. And so as we look at that, what are the places where we can look at art? So again, something that's visually striking and stunning and responsive to the community. And I know when we talked about it, there's so much richness here to represent visually. And so opportunities abound there. And then also, as Pat was saying, in the blue, you start to see areas for programming. And so that might be, whether it's a farmer's market or vending, we continue to work with the Purple Line Transit partners to identify what really feels possible from that perspective. And as well, we will continue to understand operations and maintenance, because we know that's the key to success, is really how does this continue moving. But you start to see that the blue zone is there in the center. And then there's places for gathering. Something that we heard pretty regularly is we want to be able to linger, to wait safely. So we want to personally feel safe. We want to feel safe from automobile traffic. And just generally speaking, have moments where it's welcome to linger. And then additionally, we heard from folks that they want beautiful color and planting and opportunities to add that as well. And so this diagram starts to talk about what could start to happen where. And then I'll go through a few images and slides so we can roll to the next slide. And something that we're considering is it's unlikely that we'll have a playground here. I will just say that. But there's so much joy that can be brought to seating, and there are so many playable elements. And so really looking at these items, they're visually striking, colorful, beautiful, they can evoke a smile, and also fit within that furnishings category. And so we can go to the next slide. And again, furnishing, it's more than just a place to sit. There's kids are creative, people are creative. And these can have a visual identity to them as well. And so really when we think about furnishing, we want to think about who's sitting, how long are you sitting? I know we have, when I think about teenagers and sitting, they're low commitment sitters. They like to lean, they like to hang, they like to sit differently. And so all of that will be taken into consideration as we continue the design and conversation. Okay, we can keep... And again, kind of under this moniker of placemaking, what are some opportunities to, again, just enhance that visual appeal? Make spaces that might be considered, not desirable, make them really exciting. And so thinking about asphalt art, temporary activations of spaces, other ways that really just, again, bring the community together. And we can keep going. Again, these are more examples, and often, as you can see, many of these examples occur under other public transportation lines. And that becomes really important to consider that other places navigate this regularly. You all navigate this in other parts of town. And so there are certainly instructive examples, both nationally and then also even more locally, that we'll continue to bring in. And we can go to the next. Performance, how might that happen at the site? I think acoustics and a light rail line are something that we can continue to have conversation about, but always opportunity to see this, to understand this, and to keep exploring, again, how we want to get together and be together, which is really at the heart of the project. We can go to the next. And then also commerce, some of that programming, again, can be how can we highlight our small businesses, other businesses. I know our planning department has been incredibly supportive of these efforts and has some ideas and potential resources to consider. We also know the success of the farmers market. It's done so well here. Is there an opportunity to think differently, but in a similar vein, in and around this site? And we can.
Sorry. So before we go into just some facts that we have, after doing the walkthrough, we were really concerned and said, look, let's see if we can encourage University of Maryland students to show us what is happening worldwide. We brought examples of Toronto and other areas where they have done the same thing, and that is they've had an underpass and they have chosen to provide accessible space that brings people to the space. It brings people to take the Purple Line. So we said, well, let's engage a landscape architect and others. I got a call early one morning from the senator who said that we now have $1 million. We have been able to convince the state to bring that sum of money to this project because we feel that we deserve more. We deserve more than just trees. And we've got a lot of talent. We've got a lot of people in our communities, both east and west, who would love to have space where they can linger, where we would also have opportunities for concerts, etc. So in addition to that, I got excuse me, I had another call from the state who said that we're going to add another $375,000 to this. So in other words, I'm sharing this with you just because I want you to know what is doable, what's possible. And we feel that the connection of the Purple Line underpass project and also working with Maryland Main Street as an opportunity, we feel that we can bring more, not only to East Riverdale, but also to the community here, the town here. So let me just take you through what our thoughts are. The Purple Line connects a series of distinct, valuable community assets through Tacoma Langley, Long Branch, and Greater Riverdale Park. Those are three distinct communities that have been targeted by Maryland Main Street. With the implementation of the Purple Line underpass project, CCAR is positioned to be the coordinating entity for Main Street efforts on Kenilworth Avenue. We recently had a visit by Maryland Main Street folk, and we feel that we can connect the town of Riverdale Park and the Purple Line underpass project in such a way that we will bring community together. CCAR's primary strategic focus is on bridging the physical and psychological divide between communities east and west. Of the tracks by championing the transformation of the Kenilworth Avenue underpass. The Purple Line underpass is our most significant near-term design and placemaking opportunity, and CCAR should pursue connected Main Street status over 12 to 24 months. So we invite the town to join us in this effort as we establish an advisory board. CCAR is a strong, trusted convener. There's recognition that the underpass is a catalytic project. The project will create an accurate assessment of community concerns, and CCAR will support branding for the Kenilworth Corridor, the underpass, and the town of Riverdale Park that highlights the unique character and communicates in the various languages spoken. CCAR has already developed existing momentum and partnerships. There is bandwidth of our work supporting small restaurants and local businesses. CCAR has a proven track record of securing and managing grant funding, and there is opportunity for the town to join CCAR in linking Main Street work on Kenilworth Avenue and the underpass project. The recommendation that CCAR pursue various anti-displacement strategies doesn't fully address how the floodplain limits redevelopment options. We are asking this evening for a letter of support from the town of Riverdale Park for the Purple Line Connectivity Project, the underpass, and joint Main Street work. So what do we bring? We also bring PLCC technical assistance, that's Purple Line Community Partners, underpass project support, framing the Main Street strategic integration, governance, and clarification of CCAR town and county, anti-displacement strategy development, building a 12 to 18-month designation roadmap. This is already underway. Also, CCAR brings Maryland DHCD technical assistance, direct technical assistance to advance CCAR toward connected status, assistance navigating state-level barriers, funding guidance and support for underpass implementation, training and capacity building for staff and board, and assistance aligning CCAR's work with county planning. So we feel that so much more is possible for our communities. We feel that this is a time to take advantage of this opportunity, and we feel that we can link East and West, and we would like for you to consider we would like for you to consider the letter of support from the town of Riverdale Park, and also we'll be looking at the Purple Line Connectivity Project and the joint Main Street work. So that's all I have today. We're really, really excited. We're underway. We have our project budget defined, and I believe I noted that there is a budget here of about, is it 75,000 or so that was discussed earlier for, I believe, for the project.
I could clarify that, Mr. Mayor, if you'd like.
Sure.
Yeah.
The town has a project called the Purple Line Connectivity Project. It's actually for our neighborhood, where we have sought state funding for the Casada, Quintana, Patterson area for sidewalks and lighting.
Okay.
And so our residents would be able to safely access the station.
Okay, so so it is the name that is the same. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Great. Okay, that's what I have. Today, I would like to see an advisory board developed so that right now we have had two conversations with the community. The community has really come and indicated what they feel should happen uh, at the underpass. And we also have had a couple of meetings with the county, state, MDOT, and others. So we are underway, and we would like for you to seriously consider um, joining joining the work.
Thank you, both of you, for your presentation. I know there's a lot of questions from council, so I'll start with Councilman Berlingua.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Pat, part of this, the money that you were talking about, the 75,000, is really trying to address something that we all feel very concerned, in the success of this project and what all that the state's trying to do, MTA and everything, is making sure that getting to and from this station and to this area is a good experience, is a positive experience. That it's something that people really don't, it's like, oh, I'll just walk over there, as opposed to they're thinking, I got to walk over there and have that trepidation. And I know this has been expressed several times to MTA and to the Purple Line community planning group and all at the meetings, and to state delegates as well, because the amount of resources that have been put into this project. This stop, along with the other ones that have, special features about them, really need to have that positive aspect about them for them really to be successful. And I know you've made an effort over the years on this project to make sure that there's that connectivity. Back when Senator Pinsky was still serving, about sending a petition to him when MTA was looking to reconfigure the design of the stop there into essentially a solid concrete structure. And then getting them, really pushing them to getting it back to where it was going to be a supported structure with an open space underneath. And what you have here and what the Annapolis is demonstrating with monies, resources that they're putting toward this, is that they would like to see this to be a success. I have a number of questions about it. I'm sure the rest of the council does, about the Connected Communities program, as well as about the scope and capacity that you're looking to the town for in terms of a partnership in regards to this advisory board. So if you would like to speak to that some more, that would be great.
I felt that an advisory board would be certainly a way to bring two communities together also. Looking at not what they may have been told by MDOT that is what's doable. Trees, shrubs, and so on. But to bring an advisory board together that really understands and wants to see what's possible, what's doable. We feel that we are not out of sort with what we've shown you tonight. But it really, my feeling is that an advisory board should be put together so that very much like Park and Planning has done in the past, where we brought some communities together. We would be doing the same this time, and it would be with being able to reach out and grab the best of what can come to this space. So that's my thought for why an advisory board.
Thank you, Councilmember. Any other comments or questions from council?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Go ahead, Councilmember Khan. You go.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to ask when this project is going to be completed, because there's a lot of grumbling by the motorists. Today they can block this end, dig hole there, pothole. Some people they are grumbling, their vehicle are messing up. Even myself too, 2 times. My tire fired from Ken Walter Avenue to Veteran Highway Junction, you know. But I want to know when this project is going to be completed so that you can have a relief. Thank you.
Well, to answer you, we hear figures of 2026, but we also hear another figure of 2027. 2026, I believe that our area and Prince George's County will experience closure for 2026, but the entire line will not be completed until 2027.
So we'll have one here and plus.
Yes.
Oh boy. All right. Thank you.
Councilmember Worsnop.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you so much for being here, for your time, for all of your work on this. We all want the stop to be a success. Two, maybe three questions at the moment. First, I know there are various actors involved here, obviously, and I have kind of struggled to figure out the relationship between them, but specifically, who would actually be implementing and building this project in the end, in your view?
We would, and again, looking at our budget, that would be the hire of a construction company for the build.
Okay, but through CCAR, like.
CCAR maintains the budget. Yes, we would pay the contractor. We would pay for construction.
Okay, and this would be on top of what MDOT has planned.
It is separate from MDOT, yes.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. Second, the letter of support you're requesting, who is that going to?
It would come to CCAR.
But who is it addressed to, like the letter?
Central Kenilworth Avenue Revitalization, CDC.
It's in support of CCAR's plan, but who are you presenting it to?
Is it Maryland Main Street? Is it Maryland Main Street?
No, DHCD, the State Department of Housing and Community Development. They will be looking for a letter of support from the town, and certainly we may have other letters of support, but we would send a copy to DHCD. The Department of Housing and Community Development is really, they are responsible for the budget.
Right. And so this would be a letter of support for a grant from them or for?
We have the grant.
Okay. So what is the letter of support requesting?
The letter of support would say that the town is in support of the project.
Okay. Okay. And then lastly, just to kind of reiterate what my colleague was saying before, we definitely have a shared goal, I think, on the council to ensure that our surrounding neighborhood there is connected to the stop. So that I think would be a priority of ours. I mean, I'll speak for myself, but I know that we have all expressed that view in some way. And so in your view, would that be part of the conversation going forward?
I'm sorry, you're going to have to, you'll have to repeat.
The existing plans mostly focus on just around and underneath the stop
The
itself,
underpass.
like rather than connecting surrounding communities.
Mhm.
Are you planning to focus primarily only on the space underneath the stop, or is it possible to expand to like connecting the surrounding neighborhoods?
We have had meetings with Maryland Main Street. Maryland Main Street would really, first of all, they could just consider working with the project, the underpass. But we all, including them and CCAR, the state, feels that it is opportunity to really expand that. So we would want to see connectivity between, as I mentioned, East Riverdale, as well as the town of Riverdale Park.
Okay, thank you.
May I also say that it's an opportunity to green the Kenilworth Avenue. So we're not just looking at just the area under the underpass, but we're also looking at the area, I guess it would be at least from River Road, if not Good Luck, and then continuing to move south. So there's a lot of work that can be done and a lot of change that can occur.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I have a couple thoughts on this. One, thank you both for coming and presenting the vision that you're talking about. I believe you mentioned the upgrade from the base model to the possibilities of something more. And I think the work that you all have done have substantially increased what that base model is from the concrete wall block that it was 10 years or so when it was originally proposed to what it is now. I also echo the concerns of council about the connectivity, and I want to be extremely clear, not to say that making Kenilworth Avenue as a whole more attractive. We know State Highway has work that they're trying to from Edmonston to Good Luck Road, or definitely I think at least to East West Highway. Of how do you slow the diet down of that road? That work needs to happen. How do we make it easier for people to walk and bike from River Road to Kenilworth to East West Highway? That work needs to happen. But there is a tragedy of the closest neighborhoods to the actual stop who have endured the construction for the longest periods of time, have the hardest ability to get to it. And so when we talk of connectivity, it's literally, if you look at on a map, the four corners closest to the station have the hardest time of actually getting there. And if you are diagonally across from the station, this understation that you're talking about, you could throw a ball to it, but you have to cross two state highways to get to it, right? And so connectivity really means about it's about how do we physically get people there in a safe way. I have concern about, I almost think of this in the absolutes. If we are successful and we actually build this project to what you talk about, and maybe even more, how comfortable would we be to have advocating for people to actually go there, knowing that it's cross these highways at your own risk, but when you get there, it's the promised land, right? And so these are real concerns that we do have, and we've been trying to get state funds to try to make
and very valid,
and so the other part is, and so I think any participation in this, we would have to think about that more broadly. Otherwise, we're solving for one issue and then creating another one in the immediate future.
You're absolutely right. If I may just interject that in several of our meetings, we have continually brought up the issue of the issue that's not solved. And that is how one safely gets across the street in all directions. That is still being worked on. So we have not seen the solution yet. We're told that I think we were told that there's some work on it, but yeah, but that's SHA. That's also DPW&T. There's a number of just agencies that really have to put their heads together at this point. We don't see it opening until that issue is solved because it's hazardous right now. When we did the walk, I think about in the spring, everyone could feel it's just absolutely hazardous there. So that's got to be solved. Yeah.
Okay. No, it's good to hear that last part about this won't be considered done until some of those things are addressed. The other concern or question I have was around the Main Street. So I remember when they came to the town, I met with them. There was a couple outstanding questions, and I don't know, I'll have to defer to town staff in terms of if we've gotten follow-up on that. I know there were questions around could a jurisdiction have more than one Main Street program and project? And I know the council had already sort of well down the path for one in town center. And that was something that was pending to sort of see what that looks like. And so the idea of sort of signing on to a letter around the main streets, I think that's something that we probably would want to get some direction from staff so we have a better understanding of what the implications may be for that. And then the second would just be around the idea of an advisory board or you know, I think that's something that we should definitely think through and talk about. You know, I know some of the feedback that I've gotten from residents is that are aware of it. It does feel like this is I think you mentioned it's a moving thing. Can we jump on board? It's an ongoing train, and the sort of the town seems to be catching up to something that's already happened that is actually going to happen within the like limits of the town. And I know Prince George's County has a history of things happening and municipalities being the last to know. That's one of the priorities of PDCMA for this year of how do we find opportunities for municipalities to get better in the loop so they're no longer the last to find out about things. And so I'm sensitive to that. And so I think when we think about what an advisory board or commission would look like, not just inclusion to make sure that the right, you know, representations from this town, the state, and the varying municipality or the varying institutions are represented, but also, you know, how that fits into, I think the town sort of stated goals in terms of we were also thinking about what is our vision for Kenilworth Avenue? How do we more actively participate in it? Since I personally believe that the absence of that, we have sort of been subject to whatever the whims are of the sort of times. And so making a more active participation in that is something that's also on top of mind for me as well. And so, but I'll pause there if there are other comments or questions from the council at all.
I think, well, I know at this point, we're really starting, we're at the front of everything. We're not coming to you and saying, well, this is already done. We now need a letter of support. This is funds have we've got the funds certainly, but we want to make sure that that the community's engaged, and that means all the communities. So this is something that's early in process. There've been no selections other than the selection of the landscape architecture firm and Warp Wealth, Ally O'Neill here. So this is really this is at the beginning.
Got it. Last question I have is in terms of you mentioned a couple of times a budget and what role do you see the sort of like the town staff playing in sort of the, we just had our deputy director or Director Lewis sort of walk through 37 different project improvements. We're doing a lot in town. This would be the biggest project that the town has with you mentioned $1 million and I think another almost $400,000 added to it. That already is one of the largest projects. That would be the largest projects that the town has. And so I'm curious about the town's, what the town's investment or involvement would be in this project. For the, to not be involved at all, I think would be odd to say the least, problematic to say the most. And so I'm curious if you thought about that, or are you also early days and haven't solidified involvement in terms of what the town's involvement is in the sort of this project moving forward?
We have not made any decisions as to what the town's financial involvement would be. We know at this point what we're able to do with the Purple Line Connectivity Project. We could go ahead and do that project and not bring the communities together in a way that that we feel that they could be. So the budget that has been established is not one where I can tell you how we project funds would be used. But we are not coming to the town asking for funds. We, though, would certainly, our books would be open. And I think at the point that if the town is engaged in, let's say, a portion of if there's something that the town brings to the table and says, look, this would really, number one, be would have significance, positive significance to the Purple Line Connectivity Project. What we probably would have to do would be to find grant funds to do that. The monies that have been identified we have already indicated how those funds might be spent with Maryland, with the Department of Housing and Community Development.
May I?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
Also, just to say that in many of the conversations, what we recognize first and foremost is coordination is going to be key. Just like we said, connectivity is important. So the project might stop, but there, so much expertise here on staff, here in this room, recognizing that the town is a key constituent and stakeholder. And so even conversations that have come up with about safety, there's a lot of coordination. Who gets called, whose jurisdiction starts where. And so there's a recognition that, the role in the advisory board is key, and probably it's many. So it might be kind of different committees, different staff at different points based on agendas. because this is complex, as was identified. And we've had the pleasure of having staff join us at meetings and appreciate that and continue to want to have that happen, and recognizing that this fits in as a puzzle piece to something greater. And so again, how we see this advisory role and the town's participation in this really as an opportunity again to, bring your vision and, advocacy of the town's role to the forefront, and also to ensure none of us want to make anyone's job harder, and certainly not Deputy Director Lewis's. I know so much of sidewalks and things end up in that. And the goal really would be coordination and to kind of bring those pieces together, right? And to inform. So it feels to me and as if you all are a very key constituency in the success of this, because again, connectivity is with your neighborhoods, with folks, and again, and beyond that as well. But just to say, in terms of the role in the advisory board, I think we probably have more seats than you might be interested in filling, but would obviously welcome any expertise and staff time. Obviously, there's a lot on, but we can be targeted and we can be really sensitive to how much is on that capital improvement pipeline agenda. So happy to work with you all to make sure that it's right-sized with that.
We really see we really see this as an opportunity for the town. And that really depends upon what the town feels that the role that the town feels that it is interested in playing. It needs to be involved in. The Purple Line's going to be built. It's underway. Now, the question is it built with the community involved, meaning that what we showed you as possible for the community. What I'm saying is the Purple Line is definitely going to happen. What role does the town want to play? And that's where the advisory committee comes in. Certainly with the need for security, possibly the need for maintenance. Those are some things that really I would think you might want to be on the front of. And this is an opportunity for that. So for us, I think that Maryland Main Street is going to be engaged with Kenilworth Avenue, with the connectivity project, with some of the businesses along the Kenilworth Avenue corridor. But there's also opportunity for Maryland Main Street, continuing down Riverdale Road and getting to where, there are already existing businesses. So, I would encourage you to for the advisory board. I would encourage and hope that that you take a seat because we need to hear from you. We need to know what the needs of the town are with respect to, like I said, we brought out the problems, the huge problems of, safety, and for the streets and all. But there are also other opportunities.
Yes. Yeah. So I know in the interest of time, I want to thank you both for showing up in the presentation. I think you've given us, like you mentioned towards the end, there's a lot of things for the town to sort of consider in terms of how we want to participate in this. I think what makes the most sense is we should probably take this back to staff. Hopefully you have enough information to have another briefing with us so we can have further questions that folks have. I think as you think about this, I encourage you to sort of reach out to town staff and think about it before I would feel comfortable sort of having a letter. I think I've gotten a lot of questions answered, a couple more questions that I gathered as a result of this, but I will say I think there's support in terms of what the project is. I think some of the questions are some of the bigger issues in terms of, like we talked about, how we get there, connectivity. And then I think there is a real conversation about what is necessary to bring this to fruition. What roles do people play? And specifically, what role does the town play? And this is, I think, things that we should definitely think through.
Yeah.
But we don't have, the good thing is we don't have to solve it all tonight. I know we've got a couple of folks who've been waiting for a while, and we're 2 hours in, but I definitely appreciate both of you coming and taking the time to talk to us.
Great. Well, thank you so much. We appreciate being here.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right. Next up on the agenda, we have public comments, but I'm actually going to ask, would you all be okay if we move I know the folks from the fence, I appreciate you staying here and burning the midnight oil with us. If you'd be okay, we're happy to sort of do you next on the agenda. You can go right now, and then we'll do public comments and the rest of the agenda later. Okay, so you're prepared to come up. Okay, so both of you can come up, and you can, or whoever wants to, take a seat in the front. Thank you, Director Shelton, for already having it queued up.
Oh, thank you.
Do you want to just introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Jason Ventura, and this is
Jennifer Munoz.
wife. And we are residents of Riverdale Park. We live at 5912 Riverside Drive, and we are requesting a permit for the installation of a 6-foot white vinyl fence in our backyard.
Okay. Is there any presentation from staff on this?
Yes, I think Jason unfortunately took most of my typical presentation, but I would add that the applicant has already applied and received their county permit for the project, and this is part of the process in order to receive their town building permit. This is a fence to replace their backyard wooden fence, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct.
Okay. Councilmember?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, Mr. Shelton, I take it the application has all T's crossed and I's dotted on it and everything?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and everything that you see about it and the scope of the project and all, you have no concerns or issues or anything about that?
No, I have no concerns about the replacement 6-foot fence in the backyard. Absolutely not.
Okay. Well, what I would say to the council, if it's all right with you, that we place this on the consent agenda so they can get moving along and putting the fence in.
Great. Okay, we're in agreement. Thank you. Our next meeting where the consent agenda would be is January
5th.
5th. Wow. So bright and early in the new year, we'll vote on it. It'll be part of the consent agenda, and we'll move forward from there.
So
Thank you. We appreciate your
sorry to
time.
keep you waiting so long.
No, very informative. It's our first time here, so yeah, absolutely.
Enjoy having residents.
And best wishes to you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I appreciate folks adjusting the agenda for that, and so we will move to public comments. And so again, if you are online and you want to speak in public comments, please feel free to raise your hand, or if you're in the room, you can please feel free to come forward. Miss Cronk, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Apologies that I'm joining on now. I had a work call during the first segment of the meeting this evening. So thanks for letting me join on for the second part for public comment. My understanding, again, because I wasn't able to be on for the first part of the work session, my understanding is that fellow resident Sarah, sorry, it's been a really, really long day, shared a little bit about what happened last week with immigration enforcement in Riverside Park. I wanted to just add my perspective on that because I was the first person who responded to that incident. And while I think probably Sarah shared a little bit about what happened and the impact on the surrounding community, on residents, on teachers at the elementary school, on parents, on students, even on crossing guards in that area. It was also really hard for residents writ large. We have been coming to council for months now, warning that it was not a matter of if, but of when ICE would be in our community. This was not an incident where ICE was detaining Riverdale community members, but they had detained community members in neighboring communities, neighbors nearby. What they were doing in Riverside was transferring those folks onto a larger bus to take them to a detention center. And for those of us who watched that happen, it was hard. It was also hard to not know where this council stood on responses to an incident like that, where half dozen to a dozen people were chained, bound, loaded onto buses in the most dehumanizing of ways. That was happening in our town boundaries, in our community. And the reason why I wanted to come on and share that during public comment is because I took that incident really, really seriously. Again, I was the first one to respond. So there was, there's some secondary trauma that happens there. There's some adrenaline that happens there. But I took it really seriously. And so every morning since then, I have gone to Riverside Park to make sure that more folks were not being detained within our community. What is hard for me to make sense of and digest is that I have not once seen the Riverdale Police Department there. I know that Councilmember Smith has raised questions previously with the council, with the police department, with the police chief, with the town manager about what RPD's response to ICE activity in our community would be. I didn't expect for RPD to respond immediately in that moment last Wednesday when folks were being detained in our community. are being transferred in our community. But I was actually pretty appalled knowing that RPD knew that this had happened. I was pretty appalled that nothing has happened since then. Now, the town manager can correct me if there have been patrols by RPD since then. I have not seen them in the mornings, which is when this incident happened. But I do want to raise it and continue to raise it with the council because we have been warning folks that this was going to happen. And so, I know that the town has kind of galvanized around the idea of this, One Riverdale Park initiative, but it is not panning out. It is not translating for folks who are feeling scared and vulnerable and terrorized in this community. So I wanted to come on. I've waited an hour and 20 minutes in order to, again, push this council to be much, much more explicit about how we are interacting with the fact that ICE is terrorizing members of our community. There are other places, other cities and municipalities around the country who are passing laws or making moves, taking action to prohibit agents from using town property, public parks, public parking lots. And I really, really want to urge this council to not simply sit by and watch this happen and throw up our hands and say, well, we can't do anything with federal agents. I'd really, really encourage the council to get creative here. And the looks on the faces of parents and kids and teachers when we showed up later that afternoon for school drop-off outside the elementary school was both powerful and so upsetting that folks are feeling terrorized in their own communities. So anyway, I don't have a specific proposal. I am working on some specific proposals. I will be back in front of you in January with those specific proposals, but wanted to make sure that folks were hearing that we need more from y'all right now. Thank you.
Thank you for your public comment. We appreciate that. I'm actually, we have count. So I actually need to leave. I was just called from my wife and that my son is in urgent care. If it's okay, our Vice Mayor, Councilmember Foe, will take over the meeting, and I will leave right now. And I appreciate everyone taking the time, and we'll circle back with all.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm glad this is a work session. Thank you, sir. I hope everything's all right. I don't mean to make light of the situation. Be well. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Hope everybody's doing well this evening. I think we are on item number 2 on the Farmers Market Dollars Plus update. Is there a staff presentation?
There is. Director Shelton is going to just share some information, some updated information from what I had sent out previously in an email. And it's just a quick synopsis. Mr. Shelton?
Absolutely. Yes, let me bring this a little better here. Yes, good evening again, Mayor and Council, members of the public. As the town manager mentioned, this is going to be an update on the Farmers Market Dollars Plus program. And so as a brief reminder of the Farmers Market Dollars and Farmers Market Dollars Plus, the Farmers Market Dollars ended in May because of a lack of funding. We eventually ran out of funding to be able to fund the Farmers Market Dollars as we had been in the past. But in the Farmers Market Dollars Plus was reopened in November after the federal government shutdown created some uncertainty in the SNAP program availability. And the Farmers Market Dollar Plus program was expanded to include local grocery stores as a source of fresh foods. All right, so what's been provided? The short version is that 173 households have been supported. Each was provided with $100. At one point, there was a few households that were split between $25 and $75 card, so that's why there's a few more cards than there are households. But each household received exactly $100, and that's why we've distributed $17,300. And as I mentioned in an email earlier to the mayor and council, that each card has 30 days to be redeemed before it expires. And the largest tranche of cards that had gone out actually went out on November 25th. So we have another 9 days until those cards expire. Only the original 23 that went out with only 1 week's worth of value on them have expired so far, only $25. So for the most part, many of the cards still have significant time before they expire. So where had the farmers market dollars been spent? Approximately half of the funds have been redeemed so far. $8,500 been redeemed, and again, we distributed $17,000, so almost exactly half of the funds have been redeemed. And there was an insightful question by one of the council members earlier about how this usage rate compares to the previous usage rate in the program. And I compared to the current usage rate to the rate that was occurring between January and May of this year, and that was roughly 72%. And I would say that I don't have a crystal ball, but I would argue that it's pretty likely that I would say that the remaining 22% that would bring us on par with that previous usage rate could occur within the next 9 days, especially with the holidays occurring and people spending a lot at the grocery stores at that time. So the recent expansion to include local grocery stores has been very impactful. 88% of all of the Farmers Market Dollar Plus funds have been redeemed at grocery stores. I think that the large factors for this include the weather. It's been especially cold in December so far this year, and also convenience. The farmers market only occurs once per week, while the grocery stores are open every day of the week. So I think that has made it a lot easier for our residents who are enrolled in the program to receive fresh foods in a much more convenient way. Some of the future considerations we have for the program include the potential government shutdown, federal government shutdown in February. Also under consideration is alternative programs to provide food during the holidays. Currently, we have $19,000 still in our YIFTI account, while staff are authorized to send an additional $25,000 to YIFTI, bringing us to, $44,000. An additional 90 households have applied since we paused for our evaluation, which would bring us to a total of 263 households. And staff are working with the town attorney on a way for the town to potentially accept donations for the program. If there are any questions about Farmers Market Dollars Plus, I'd be happy to answer them.
Any council questions or comments? Any comments from the community?
Sorry, I meant to say something earlier real quick. I just want to thank staff for their continued work on this. Much appreciated. Thank you to Director Shelton for that presentation as well. We know our community is benefiting from this, so thank you so much.
Ditto. It's incredible to see the increased usage in local stores that have been added to the program as well. It's really been incredible to see this program evolve, and I am proud to participate in any program that helps delineate food insecurity in our community. So thank you to Director Shelton. Thank you to staff.
Absolutely.
All right, moving on to the next agenda item, we have Town Lawn Mowing and Maintenance Services, bid number DPW 2025-003. Is there a presentation?
There is. Director Lewis
Yes, good evening again, everyone. No action is requested on this item this evening. Instead, this is a briefing to the council on the solicitation to secure a contractor to provide lawn mowing services at 48 sites in town, including East West Highway. Staff issued an invitation to bid for these services back in February and only received 2 bids. One was non-responsive and the other wasn't affordable. Staff issued a new invitation to bid on November 7th and received 4 bids, one of which was non-responsive, and that proposal is no longer being considered. Prices range from $72,720 to $129,188. Staff is currently checking references and will return to the January legislative session with the recommended company and a request to authorize the town manager to sign a contract. The work schedule is from April to November. The budget for this service is $95,589, the cost of the most recent service. If the lowest bidder is selected, this amount will obviously more than cover it. If not, the FY27 budget will need to include additional funds for this service. Funds remain in the budget to cover April through June, the last 3 months of the fiscal year. And with that, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Any questions from council? No? Laura, please come to the table. Thank you, Ms. Katz.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem Foe. Ms. Lewis, I was just curious, with 48 sites, I didn't realize there were so many sites, but is for lawn mowing and maintenance, I would like to see perhaps in the future some time spent in a plan to reduce the number of sites that require mowing. And I know maintenance is something that never goes away, but maintenance certainly could potentially be reduced depending on if additional habitat, native habitat, or natural park type pocket park space, which I know the town is already doing, has done some amazing conversion of some town property into gardens, et cetera. But I was just curious if the town is has any kind of plan to reduce the number of sites that require mowing and extensive maintenance.
If only we could. A lot of these are small sites, linear sites, and I don't see the opportunity, at least at this moment, for some of the ideas that you're sharing. I would like to maybe continue this conversation internally to see with staff to see if there's an opportunity to reduce it. We're actually are increasing it as far as the contract is concerned, because DPW had maintained a number of sites that they continued to mow. And so this number is a lot higher than the previous contractor was responsible for, and yet we have a price that's even better. So that's one plus in this. But thank you for that comment, and we'll give it some thought.
Certainly, I would refer certainly to the Kennedy Street, Paper Street garden that was just installed, reducing some of that mowing space, and ideally could be extended. But thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Katz. Thank you, Director Barnes. Next, we're going to move to item number 4, road improvement projects. Are you still up for this one, Director Lewis?
Yes, I am. Thank you. We're not requesting an action on this item either. Instead, it's a briefing on the additional funds that are needed to cover engineering and construction costs for our road improvement program. In June, the council authorized $493,783 for the construction of road improvement projects. This amount included a 35% contingency. At the time the council made that authorization, we were still doing some engineering, and we hadn't yet got a cost for the additional projects that required that engineering and would be added to the construction schedule. So the additional projects added after this authorization still require additional work by both the on-call contractor and the engineer. I should note that work will continue on the design of the Riverdale Road raised intersections outside of the scope of work that's the subject of this presentation. A change order authorizing the additional funding to the task order contract with Pannoni is required. This is expected to cost $36,000. We also need a change order authorizing an additional $12,000 to the contractor, ENR, who is one of the town's on-call contractors. Funding for these changes is currently available in the CIP budget. And with that, I'll take questions. Thank you.
Any council questions? Community questions? All right. Thank you very much, Director Lewis.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is the Town of Riverdale Park Board of Code Appeals appointments. Director Barnes?
Good evening again. This item was discussed with the mayor and council back in August. Since that time, staff have worked to find expressions of interest or people in the community who are interested in serving on the Board of Code Appeals, and we're finally to the point we have some folks who are interested. The current members have graciously offered to continue to serve. We also have a new member of the community who's expressed interest in being part of the Board of Code Appeals. So no action is requested tonight. This item will come back before the mayor and council in January in the form of a resolution. And hopefully at that time, we'll also be able to swear in the new members of the Board of Code Appeals.
Thank you, Director Barnes. Any questions? All right. I looked at the minutes and I don't believe that we had any for as of the December 1st deadline. All right. So let's move on to new business. Any new business, council? Councilmember Lingua?
Thank you. Not gonna say no. Mayor Pro Tem. I'm taking Laura's tack on that. One thing is, as a matter, I think it's something that we may want to think about as a body, and also, talk with folks as well in the community. That being the establishment and the building and the construction within the county of AI farms, for lack of a better term, or AI sites. There's a proposed for one to be going up, I understand, in Landover. I understand the size of this is going to be something that is 4 times the size of what was put in Memphis, Tennessee. And that was a considerable size. The impact that these facilities have in terms of resources that affect the county, and then some, is both on water and also electricity rates. And I know there's concerns being raised over in the Landover area about this going in. And I think this is something that we, as a municipality, may want to bring up with PGCMA, as also bringing up with our county representatives as well, not only Councilmember Olson, but also the 2 at-large council members as well. I know that there is a push to have these constructed, and that's understandable. I think one of the things that we as a municipality, along with others and along with the county in the whole, is making sure that what's being put in there is going to not have such a substantial effect on the quality of life in that immediate area, as well as how it's going to affect resources, as I just mentioned, one being water, and one being, electric generation, to be able to power these facilities, and how that's going to affect other businesses and homeowners in terms of raised rates. I think there's more that communities can have on the input on how these are built and designed to try and minimize those effects than folks are considering at this time.
Thank you very much. Are there any actions you're looking for us right now?
I think this is something is really just we need to be discussing more as a body as a whole. And again, like I said, I think it might be a good idea for I believe it's the mayor who is now attending PGCMA meetings to bring this issue up with PGCMA and get a feeling for how other municipalities are feeling towards this. And I think it's also something that we need to be bringing up, as I said before, with county council members, mainly because the county council acts as a body of the whole when they're considering new developments and new projects and how those projects can move forward. As we do here, we can approve things, we can reject things, projects, or we can approve with conditions. And I think it may be good for us to advocate this on the county level, to see what it is that they're looking at in terms of, how this project's moving forward, how they're looking at it. Are they placing any conditions? What conditions are they placing? And how do we feel as a community? Do we feel those are sufficient? Or do we feel that the county council should be asking more of these developments?
I'll convey this to the mayor to see what PGCMA is dialoguing, or if they are dialoguing about this, and hopefully we can revisit this as a council in upcoming meetings.
I hope so.
Thank you. Last on our agenda is unfinished business, council rules of procedure. I know this is the mayor's intention. I think what we saw this evening potentially could happen. He's a very busy man. I believe that the idea that we should dialogue about is who is going to lead meetings in an instance of the mayor being unable to attend. That I think that would fall upon me, or potentially should he lead meetings remotely. Any thoughts?
No,
this is not my agenda. I'm just living with it.
I mean, I don't have a specific view on that. This was obviously an extenuating circumstance where he probably couldn't be online. So I'm not sure I have like an item to discuss there, but I appreciate the issue being raised. I'd say we should save this item for when we're all together next time.
Yeah.
I think tonight was a case of we've planned the work and something comes up, so we work the plan.
Yeah.
That said, I think going forward, in terms of what we can do, especially as it is, he is very busy, as I think as a number of us have a number of things, in our lives that are going on, and throw on top of that holiday season, it's really makes for a very full day. So
I appreciate that. Moving forward, there is no mayor's report this evening. Mr. Town Manager.
Yes, a few things. So the holiday season kickoff event was held on the 5th, and it was cold. That's not in the notes, but it was cold. So we want to special thanks to the Riverdale Park Farmers Market, Inc., and the Riverdale Park Arts and Manifest Bread for providing the cider and hot chocolate, and to the staff team and to all of our residents who came out to enjoy the ice skating or to purchase their Christmas tree or just listen to some music and have fellowship. So we held the Shop with a Cop program last week, and it was a successful event. Members of our Police Department. We're paired with 15 students from Riverdale Elementary School to go shopping. There's a news clip out there. We can send the mayor and council that link where a reporter took some video of one of our officers interacting with one of the participants. It's really good. And the annual toy drive is happening. Toy distribution is scheduled for Friday. Toys can be dropped off to the police department through tomorrow. And that's for new unwrapped toys. Holiday closings, December 24th, we are going to wrap up early. So it'll be a half day then, and then we'll be closed on 12/25 in observance of Christmas Day. And then on New Year's Eve, we're going to close up a little early as well as we'll be off on January 1st in observance of New Year's Day. We have a soft opening to the public of Town Hall on Monday, January 5th. So we'll have staff back in the offices and that on January 5th. We'll be scheduling a ribbon cutting and grand opening in the coming weeks. So we'll get through whatever little tweaks we need to make to the operation. But our plan now is to be open Monday through Friday. We've never been an operation that has had a lot of walk-in traffic. Actually, prior to all this, we kept track of our walk-in traffic, and we averaged about 0.53 persons a day that would actually visit Town Hall. The vast majority of the traffic is actually for the police department. And then the first mayor and council meeting of 2026 will be on January 5th, Monday evening. I do just want to clarify something for the council. There was a public comment that the police did not respond, and that's not true. The police were there. The police through their training and education and experience and interaction with, confirmed that they were federal authorities. And there was no point in us staying there. We routinely check locations that are sensitive. And for one, I'm very proud of our police department and for every officer for their dedication to our residents. And with that, happy holidays from the staff team.
Thank you very much, Mr. Town Manager. Now we should get to ward reports and, question?
If I may, Mr.
Please, sir.
Mayor Pro Tem, I do have a question for
yes,
our town manager. Are you saying that the town has received a full use and occupancy certificate from DPI?
No.
Don't kid yourself.
We are not saying that. As Director Lewis mentioned earlier this evening, we are pending final inspections, but we have a temp UNO, and we're far enough along with the inspections and that where we feel confident we can have staff back in and receive public during the day beginning January 5th. But whether we get that UNO by January 5th, the permanent one, or if it takes a few weeks, we're going to open with the temp.
Okay, so really the last things we're still waiting to get taken care of and inspected and given the.
We're waiting for the inspections. And then there's going to be a paperwork process, but we're hopeful.
Okay, and is DPI planning to come by soon, hopefully?
Director Lewis, can you respond to that?
I'm sorry, can the question be repeated, please?
When DPI is anticipated to conduct their final inspections of Town Hall and the police department?
When will
You know,
when will
I
you be
don't-
so graced with their presence?
I don't have a final date yet. The I can follow up with the contractor tomorrow. When I spoke with him last week, he thought it would be scheduled within the next 5 to 7 days, and I'm not sure that happened. And
Okay.
so I'll need to get back to you on that one. But we do have an extension pending as well for the temporary use and occupancy permit. The current one doesn't expire yet, so just in case, we'll have an updated one.
Okay.
All right.
I hope it will be soon, but
Me too. Me
Here's-
too.
to hear that in the new year that the town hall will be open for 5 days a week, I
Yeah.
can say with everything that it has taken, this is a blessing from the Lord. God be praised. That's really, I'm just, wow. Christmas has come early.
It has. So I will start with ward presentations. I know this is consistent with all of our meetings. I was just taken aback by our staff heavy presentations this evening. They were spectacular. We're saving lives. We're budget concerned. And we are CIP focused. And I thought that all of those presentations were remarkable. And I think our staff really does an incredible job at punching above our weight. One thing that that stuck out to me and Deputy Director Jones' presentation was the prediction of 3% cost of living adjustments, potentially at the higher end of 4% inflation. It's easy to sit up here and say this, and this is why we have incredible staff. But my experience in public education has taught me that in 11 budget cycles in my 22 years in the classroom, I have had pay freezes or pay cuts. I think as a council, we are only as good as the people that we hire. I think we constantly need to raise the bar. We need to push our budgetary limits to ensure that our staff is receiving pay increases based on performance and cost of living adjustments. It is what we need to do to ensure that we maintain staff and when appropriate, we replace staff. I am incredibly appreciative of you to the point of I take my experiences personally in my profession, and it's one of those things that we can do as a council is that we can treat our employees professionally in the way that they have worked and earned and ensure that their pay status is comparable to all other municipalities in District 22. So I thank you for the work that you do, and I would look forward to continue to honor that work. Secondly, I was able to attend District 22 Legislative Priorities meeting earlier this month in New Carlton with Councilmember Worsnop, Mayor Yang, and Director Barnes. And I just, as I was sitting there in that room, it resonated with me that I believe honestly that we have the most capable council in District 22. To see the presentations, to see the engagement, to sit on this dais with all of you. We have engagement in every ward, which is not something that we've ever had before. And I just wanted to echo the sentiment that I am proud to sit here with all of you. I respect your opinions. I think you are tremendously intelligent and engaged. And I look forward to continue to try and represent the people of Riverdale Park with all of you. It didn't fall on blind eyes that our mayor was the only one that was able to utilize the clicker at this event. Take that for what it is. He is younger, engaged, intelligent. And when you go to these kind of presentations, that stands out. We sit there and watch this. This is going to allow us to engage District 22 representation quite well in trying to gain funds for our community. I believe that we asked for $1.2 million out of $9.1 million being requested from District 22. Our focus is going to be right now those communities negatively impacted by Purple Line construction. And if you go into those communities, you can see the devastation just in water mitigation issues that already exist there because of this construction. We need to do right by those people impacted by the construction. And we also need to do right by commuters to our elementary school by arguing on behalf of improved bridge on Riverdale Road. I think I had one more. Oh, the holiday retreat. Director Barnes, you do an incredible job with Joy, but simultaneously seeing our entire police staff, our town manager, everybody's so remarkably engaged. We are in the business of hosting events. It's an incredible opportunity to get out there and dialogue with our constituents, and to see the joy on so many people's faces. I got to see my son climbed up the back of the inflatable. It was something he was remarkably scared to do. I encouraged him, and then he did it approximately 1,700 times in a row. It was just like, on a personal note, to see him overcome his fear and have so much joy while town staff was around, council was engaged. It's a beautiful event. I look forward to more, and I just want to thank everybody who was engaged, particularly on the staff side. To see so many people out there smiling and engaging with our community is absolutely remarkable, and it makes me, in this holiday season, realize how lucky I am to have the position that I do and work with so many incredible people. It fills me with pride to have this role and to be able to communicate with so many of you effectively and positively for our town's future. It fills me with joy and pride, and I hope you get those same senses for your engagement as well, because it's something that you've earned as well. I usually yield at this moment, but I think Councilmember Lingua, Ward 3, Ward Report.
It's a tough act to follow.
Then don't. You give me the mic, some strange things will happen, right?
No, that's good. That's good. That's good.
Okay, so you like this? No. Okay.
I know, seeing it live right here, it's good. Really, two things I'd like to bring up. I did attend the Riverdale Park Business Association meeting up at Denizens. It was a very nice event, less business, more just year-end wrap-up. One of the things that the Business Association did is they recognized the new Community Affairs liaison at Riverdale Park Elementary School. And they presented to her a number of smaller soccer balls for their gym program, as well as 3 copies of the latest installment of former council member Jonathan Ebler's foray into writing of children's books. And now they have 3 copies, which I thought that was a nice little thing. It was a nice little come around for them. Their next meeting coming up will be in January. I believe it's going to be right around January. I think it's either the 7th or the 14th. I have a feeling it's more going to be on the 14th. Which it's going to be a business meeting, but it will also be a celebration and recognition that Pete Spiropoulos will be celebrating his birthday. It is the birthday before a very significant number. And it may be something that what we may want to consider doing is a proclamation at the meeting on the 5th in recognition of this birthday. Even though I know it's the year before a very significant one, but still, it's always good to recognize someone who's been around here for this long. The last thing I want to bring up is what happened 6 days ago in regards to the staging that ICE did at Riverside Drive Park, a property that is under the jurisdiction of the Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Commission. Because while Ms. Cronk did mention that she was the first person to respond to that scene, that it was the town was first made note of this, of what was going on, by a call that I placed to dispatch, and then also called to placed to our town manager as well. Essentially, by that point, Maryland National Capital Park and Planning Police Department had arrived there, being that they were notified by someone else in the community. It was also my understanding that by also that time that the fact that they were there was also on social media, various platforms of social media as well. I know for a fact that an officer did respond to go over to the park to, as was brought up by the town manager, to confirm what was going on there and what at that point in time, which was roughly about shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning. What it is that we can do as a body, as what we can do as a municipality, as far as I see it, is to observe as much as we can and to do as much as we can that is allowable under law, by the Constitution, by the Bill of Rights that we have, because they are still the Bill of Rights, and we still have rights, be it as individuals, to exercise those as much as we can and to observe as much as we can. And if we see rights being violated, it's to make them, is then to make that aware to other governing bodies and to press that, because that is a redress of grievances, and that we are allowed to rightfully petition for a redress of grievances and to continue petitioning for a redress of grievances. I think that is what we can do, if anything, as a community, because that is what we are still allowed to do as a community and as individuals. And I hope that is something that we are able to do going forward. ICE was very creative this past 6 days in the sense that they staged essentially in an area that is not really falling under exactly the town's jurisdiction. It falls under a multi-county, governing body, falls under their jurisdiction. How the county wants to respond to that is for the county to decide. How it is that we would like to see county respond to that is a discussion I think that we can have with county entities as well, and county stakeholders. And that's where a discussion begins on that level as well. And I think there are going to be a number of discussions that are going to continue, because I think we all have a role in maintaining and expressing our rights that are allowed under the Constitution.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember Warsnop, Ward 4.
Thank you. First, I'm not going to repeat what was already said, but I just want to completely second the comments made by both of my colleagues on all of the topics that were raised. Thank you. Very eloquently said, completely support. Wanted to raise, let's see, one quick question, and then just make one ending statement. Quick question was for town staff, just to follow up on the email from residents of Madison Hill checking on the status of the engineering report and some of the other reports that were ongoing in the neighborhood. Don't need to address it now, but just want to flag it for follow-up. Thank you in advance. Then I don't want to end tonight without recognizing the other tragic events that happened in the past several days, in addition to what happened last Wednesday in our community, but the horrible violence at Brown University and at Bondi Beach in Australia. Not going to offer thoughts and prayers, but will say that I share your pain and hope and call for actual policy change instead of thoughts. So I'll end there.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Councilmember Ramos, Ward 5, do you have any remarks this evening?
I do. Good evening, everyone, and happy holidays, in case I don't see y'all. It's a lot that has happened between the days of last Wednesday up until today. I do want to tell the town manager that I'm thankful for him sharing that information because I was not aware that Riverdale Police was there. A lot of the community were under the impression that people were being picked up in Riverdale, which I was able to clarify to them that that's not what actually occurred, which had at least my part of the community very nervous. I was actually the one that coordinated with Heather to assist the school for pickup when the kids were being released after school, because I went to the school and I spoke to them just to get a better understanding of if they knew anything that was going on or what may be happening. And I offered to volunteer to have people come in to assist with the dismissal, which they agreed. I'll be actually going back this week to the school to fill out some paperwork so that I can volunteer in the future if they ever need my assistance for anything that may arise, since I literally live around the corner. But in a way, I just want to say that I'm kind of glad that Riverdale Police went and did their check-in and did not stay, because social media is displaying something else that occurred. And I wouldn't want Riverdale Police to be involved in a way where they are now considered as they're assisting ICE with these transfers or, detains, whatever the situation may be. But I will be sharing this with my community that Riverdale did go there, but they went to verify that it was a transfer only. But the fear is that they're looking at it as in, well, are they coming here to create fear? Are they coming here to let us know we're next? What's going to happen? And unfortunately, those are answers that I don't have, because I don't know when they're going to come back. I don't know what was the reason for them to do that. I don't know why they selected that specific location at that. All I can do is just basically let them know that we can continue to work together. They were very grateful to see that other residents from different wards actually came out and were there in support and recorded everything. But again, like as I stated, social media plays a big part in this, because what's being said is that residents from Riverdale were being detained, and that was the location that they were being picked up at and transferred over to be sent to the detention center. Overall, that's really just been what my concern's been, is how I can help the community so that they're not so worried, because all I hear, especially being in the WhatsApp groups, is we just don't know if we're going to make it home. We don't know if when we go drop off our kids, we're going to be detained there. We don't know if while we're going to work, something's going to happen. And I honestly feel sometimes like, what can I do more to help? Where I sometimes, I just wonder, what is the next step? What can we do? And I just feel like it's just a big question mark, because all I can say is, well, they're federal agents. There's really not much I can do. But I don't want to say that, because then that kills hope. That's pretty much just my report. Overall, I'm grateful, I'm thankful, and I hope everyone has a good holiday.
You're a bright light, council member. We appreciate you. Thank you. Lastly, Ward 6, Councilmember Callan, sorry.
Mr. Deputy Manager, Mayor, thank you very much. I listened to all of you, your narrations, which is very good, and I appreciate it. And first and foremost, the December 5th, I enjoyed it. The event was so nice. Although the place was cold, but I did enjoy it. I would say thanks to the deputy town manager and the town manager and all the council members who were there, the mayor, although the mayor, I didn't see the mayor, but we are the representative of the mayor. I enjoyed the event. Thank you very much. And we took a lot of pictures. So above all, according to Director Lewis, what she narrated concerning the project, I think I will congratulate her the way she presents the project to us. And I congratulate the staffs, the town manager and staffs, for their hard work. And the Director Luis, too. She's a woman that have a courage, as she know how to address things. I congratulate her for that. And our deputy town manager, she's a very strong woman, hardworking. I appreciate you. Thank you very much for your hard working. As for my own ward 6, for now, I don't know. My place is too quiet now, not like before. Yeah, the speed hump help us a lot because the speed has reduced. Before they come in like they crazy, woo, 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 woo. So many accidents. But for now, I think things has cooled down. Then, Mr. Deputy Mayor, I want to bring one suggestion. I think, I don't know, what are we going to do? Why can't we have an ID card, like a council member, the mayor, and the others, to have an ID card? Sometimes when you go somewhere, they will ask you, say, okay, I'm a council member, I'm this, look at my ID card. So this suggestion, yeah, I was thinking about this. So why can't we have an ID card? Thank you. I stop there.
All right, we've reached the end of our agenda. The first period bell rings at 7:15 a.m. tomorrow morning, and I am excited to get home. So thank you everyone for being here this evening. You are appreciated. Have an incredible holiday, and we'll see everybody January 5th.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Happy holiday to you all.
Listen.